You know, we usually think of food as, well, just a bunch of recipes. But in Mallorca, it's so much more than that. It's actually a living, breathing story of the island itself. It's history that's been preserved, not in some dusty book, but in bread, in olive oil, and in the comfort of a shared meal.
And that right there is the big idea we're diving into. Every single dish, from the simplest slice of bread to the most incredible pastry, it all carries an echo of the past.
So that's the real question, isn't it? What's the story here? Well, it's a tale of survival, of conquest, of trade, and of just incredible transformation. To really get it, you've got to look at Mallorcan food as a kind of edible history book.
Yeah, think of the entire cuisine as a living archive. Every culture that set foot on the island, the Romans, the Arabs, Jewish communities, the Catalans, they all left something behind. They added a new layer, a new flavor, basically a new chapter to the island's pantry.
And what's so fascinating is how the food really mirrors the island's character. It evolved slowly, patiently. It was totally shaped by the rugged landscape and the simple need to survive. But over hundreds of years, that necessity was slowly refined into this really unique and soulful cuisine.
So, let's start at the very beginning. Long before all the tourists and fancy villas, the foundation of Mallorcan food was pure, simple survival. It was all about what you could get from the land, no questions asked.
At the heart of all this is a concept called cocina de pobre, or peasant cooking. Now, this isn't about being poor. It's a whole philosophy of being incredibly resourceful. It's about taking humble, seasonal ingredients and just with skill and time turning them into something deeply, deeply satisfying. Absolutely nothing was ever wasted.
And you can really see the first major shift right here. On one hand, you've got these ancient survival foods, things like acorn flour and wild plants. But then, when the Greeks and Romans arrived, you see the building blocks of the entire Mediterranean diet start to take root. Vines for wine, olives for oil, garlic, almonds. This was the first great leap forward.
So how did we get from basic survival food to the amazing cuisine we know today? Well, it's all about these distinct layers of influence. Each new group of people who arrived brought something new to the table, literally. Okay, so the Romans laid the foundation with wine and olive oil. Then the Arabs came and basically turned Mallorca into a garden, bringing sophisticated irrigation, citrus fruits, and this love for almond sweets. Jewish communities left a huge mark on baking, especially with techniques for filled pastries. The Christian reconquest, that put pork front and center, giving us things like sobrasada. And then finally, the discovery of the Americas changed everything all over again, adding the vibrant colors of tomatoes and peppers to the plate.
You know, for centuries, people in Mallorca pretty much ate the same things their grandparents did. But in the 20th century, something really cool started to happen. Chefs began looking back at these humble old peasant dishes and started reinterpreting them, elevating them from a simple farmhouse kitchen to the world of fine dining.
This transformation is just incredible. When you look at specific dishes, take pa amboli. It used to be just a simple way to use up stale bread for farm laborers. Now it's a showpiece with the finest local ingredients. Or frito marroquí, a dish born from using every last bit of the pig after the slaughter, is now a refined sauté. And the simple Ensaïmada pastry has become this complex, artisanal creation. The soul of the dish is the same, but the execution is on another level. So this whole modern movement is defined by a few key ideas. There's this huge focus on hyperlocal, kilometer zero sourcing. Chefs are actually reviving ancient native grains. And above all, there's this shared belief that the product, that fresh vegetable, that local olive oil, that heritage breed pork is the undisputed star of the dish. It's really about telling a story through the ingredients themselves. All right, so now that you know the history behind it all, how can you actually taste it? Let's walk through a few iconic dishes and the stories they're telling.
First up, Tumbet. This dish is basically a beautiful, edible monument to the age of discovery. Just picture a Mallorcan plate before 1492. It would have been good, sure, but probably pretty muted in color. Tumbet is an absolute explosion of reds and purples. It's layers of potato, eggplant, and peppers, all fried separately in olive oil and then baked in a rich tomato sauce. This dish simply could not exist without ingredients from the Americas. It's a direct, delicious consequence of a newly connected world. Then you've got Arròs Brut. Now, the name dirty rice might not sound super appealing, but it's talking about the cloudy, intensely aromatic broth. The second it hits the table, you can smell the saffron, cinnamon, cloves, a fragrant inheritance from centuries of Arab influence. It's a soupy rice cooked with whatever game and veggies the countryside offers: rabbit, chicken, artichokes. This is more than just a rustic meal. It's the taste of the island's interior, a taste of the hunt and the harvest, seasoned with the memory of ancient spice roots.
And finally, the Ensaïmada. This spiral pastry is maybe Mallorca's most complex story in a single bite. The name itself comes from saim, which is pork lard, making it a symbol of the Christian reconquest, a way to be culinarily different from their Jewish and Muslim neighbors. But then, look at its shape. Many believe the coiled design is a nod to Arab turbans or Sephardic pastries. So you have this incredible paradox, a flaky, light pastry made with an ingredient from one culture, shaped in the memory of others. It's just a delicious, edible testament to the island's layered identity.
And that really brings us to the heart of it all. Food in Mallorca isn't about being flashy. It's not about chasing trends. It is, quite simply, memory, place, and time, made edible. It's the story of the island, served right there on a plate.
Which leaves us with one final thought. The next time you sit down for a Mallorcan meal, remember, you're not just eating, you're tasting history. So the only real question is, which century are you tasting?